Good day, everyone. Richard Cowperthwait for Northwest Access TV. Thanks for joining us. We're talking St. Albans Town issues today, and have three folks on the set. Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman. Good to see you, Jonathan.
Good morning.
And for the first time on this show, Megan Sherlin, the Director of Community Development for St. Albans Town. Megan, good to see you.
You too.
And Town Manager Sean Atkins.
Morning.
Good to see you, folks. Megan, let's start with yourself. We haven't had you on the set before, so Director of Community Development for the town. How long have you had that job?
I've had the job for about 2 years now.
Well,
Started as zoning administrator before there, and then moved up to director of community development.
wow, from ZA. Something tells me that was probably a good move to move from ZA to CD.
Yeah.
ZA's never sounded like the easiest job to me.
It's not fun.
How long were you in that job?
I was 2 years in that job as well.
Really? And give us a little background on yourself.
So I have a degree in urban planning. I've worked in government and zoning in government for about 10 or 12 years now,
Wow.
and then have moved up from zoning to planning and doing planning projects for the town.
Interesting. Had you always hoped, or were you hoping to make that move for a while?
Yeah, I guess as with my degree in urban planning, you start small at the zoning level, land use level, and then kind of work up to larger projects.
Interesting. So you got a lot of stuff going on in the town. Tell us about some of the stuff you're dealing with these days.
We're doing lots of sidewalk studies.
And not to
Hopefully,
mention sidewalk work, right?
yes, and constructing sidewalks as well.
Huh.
Hoping to get a better connectivity around the town and through the town to the city.
Interesting. So still hope to get a connection from SATEC out to Collins Pearly, and I guess talk about even trying to get over to the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail ideally?
Yeah, just finished a study for the health path that would align the Collins Pearly with the rail trail eventually. Next will be finalizing phases of how that will get constructed.
Interesting. So each day is different, no day is the same for you, I suspect?
Yeah, between sidewalks and master plans and updating our policies, it's different every day.
Interesting. So the sidewalk this is the first sidewalk construction in St. Albans Town, or am I wrong about that?
It's close to it. We had a stretch
close to it?
on Huntington, I think it's a smaller one. That's been done before. We're actually putting that out to bid to finish that stretch too shortly. But other than that, I think so. It's Route 7 South is the one that's constructed right now.
Yeah.
It should be done in the next.
A little bit in the industrial park.
Yes,
Yeah.
we
No,
have
in
a
the
small
industrial
sidewalk
park,
in the
too.
industrial park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went by South Main Street yesterday, so going all the way to what, Prospect Hill Road?
Mhm.
That'll be the farthest it'll go?
For this phase, correct.
Okay. How close is the Georgetown line? Is that a ways past that, or is that pretty close there?
I'd say a quarter mile.
Yes. it's
Another quarter mile or so?
Mhm.
Interesting. I should note, we're taping this show on Tuesday, July 30th, in case there are some huge issues that come up in the town that you don't hear us talking about. Boy, July almost gone. Jonathan, decent summer for the town, would you say? Certainly a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I think so. The DPW has a bunch of projects that always are ongoing and new ones that are coming up, keeping those guys busy. I see we started connecting the old town garage to the parking lot to the new town hall.
Oh, yeah.
They're making a path through there.
Huh.
We've got all our permitting in place, and we're gonna make for overflow parking.
Huh.
We had a couple meetings that filled the parking lot, and so we want to make it a nice walkable path in
Yeah.
between, so we have some overflow parking.
In fact, speaking of which, let's jump right into that. I suspect you just might be referring to the quarry issue that came up with the Development Review Board. We had a big crowd for that. Boy, I'll be honest, that issue came out, I was not aware of that issue. I guess that issue didn't come out of nowhere. Had that been lurking for a while, Sean or Jonathan or Megan?
Yeah, I suppose it has.
I'm not sure I'd even heard of that issue.
Well, yeah, they were getting a lot of their ducks in order to see, I think, if they even wanted to do it.
And this is Brigham Road.
Kellogg.
I'm sorry, Kellogg Road. Thank you.
Yeah. That was actually one of the first meetings I had since when I started here, but it was very preliminary, just kind of, just discussing the overall prospect of it. And then obviously it came to light that they were going to push forward with a proposal.
And this is what, SD Ireland was the company?
Yeah.
Interesting. So it had been used as a quarry years before, apparently, Jonathan? Any background on this?
I don't think that,
really?
not that
Not right there?
particular site.
Huh.
I think
I
further
know there's some
south,
quarries around.
further south, there was a little quarry in there, I
Huh.
guess. But not to my knowledge, that doesn't have. a
Interesting.
quarry.
And what DRB, I believe unanimously rejected it?
Correct.
Truck traffic being, I guess, one of the obvious concerns?
Yep. Yeah, and the overall character of the area was another strong reason.
And I suspect, was there one person not connected to SD Ireland who spoke in favor of that project? I would guess no, or not many. It was pretty strong opposition from residents, right?
Yes, yeah, I think we broke an attendance record.
I think so.
At the town. We had to open up the doors, the sliding glass doors.
And so just strong opposition.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
guess, again, from the messenger story, I think what SD Ireland offered to pay the town, what, 10 grand a year or something to mitigate truck traffic, and I suspect that didn't do too much for anybody, huh?
That
So
didn't,
did I-
that didn't cover it, but that was a preliminary contract.
Yeah.
That wasn't a binding contract between any party. That was
Right.
just,
Yeah.
here's our first shot at it.
Yeah.
You know, what that number coulda, woulda been, who knows?
Mhm.
Did SD Ireland, did they know that was coming? Were they aware that there was so much opposition, do you know or think?
I'd be surprised if they didn't know.
I'd be surprised too, I guess.
Because it got pretty enthusiastic leading up to it. The weeks on Facebook, or people got road signs, and
Yeah, I
it
saw
kind of
some
came
of the road
together.
signs.
Yeah.
I can only assume there's obviously an appeal process if SD Ireland want. Have they appealed that, do you know, or do they plan to, or?
They have not formally appealed it.
And who would that, if you're appealing a DRB decision, who does that appeal go to?
It'd be the Vermont court,
So-
environmental court.
So environmental
Yeah.
court,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, and if they choose to, either way, it's gonna be a very long timeline
Interesting.
of process, yeah.
So the juvenile, the rehab place that was getting some attention in the town, speaking about well-attended meetings a while ago.
That was my first meeting.
Your first meeting?
Yeah.
I guess the state is, I guess they're pushing for a site in Virgins.
I believe it's
Yeah.
approved now.
Is that right? I
Yeah.
haven't seen the story for a while, but it sounded like that was a much better way for them to go.
The folks of St. Albans would agree. Yeah.
Sure.
It's a,
Interesting.
yeah.
Big news in the town, of course, on July 1st, Jonathan, St. Albans Police Department started taking command, patrolling again in St. Albans Town. So we're talking about a month into that, taking over from the Sheriff's Department. Does that seem to be going okay?
I believe so. I haven't
Yeah.
heard any residents reach out to me with any complaints.
Yeah.
I mean, the first day I saw a cruiser actually up here
Huh.
patrolling at 6:30 in the morning, July
Oh, really?
1st. So they're out and about, and you know, they're busy, and they're right at their staffing limit, what they need.
So they're doing okay for staff?
I believe so.
Yeah.
After the last time we talked to Chief Amoth about it, so
Yeah.
you know, but it's like every business, you know, staff is an issue, you know.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes, but it seems to be doing good.
And it sounds like I'm thinking you're getting more coverage now. I mean, the Sheriff's Department was having some staffing issues too, and I think you guys saved some bucks on the contract you had with the Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
So more coverage now from City PD. They're in better shape staffing, I assume?
Yeah, we have 24/7 coverage
Yeah.
as of today with the city police department, and we did get some money. Well, we didn't spend all of the sheriff's budget last year, because the sheriff came right out and told us, like, we don't have enough staff to cover
Right.
24/7. So we did buy down the tax rate for fiscal year 2025
Yeah.
with that surplus.
But you got by okay, nothing too drastic with that lack of, not as much coverage as you thought you were going to get from the Sheriff's Department?
Yeah, I think we did overall.
Survived okay?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Nothing pops right into mind when you say that, so I take that as a,
Well, I'd like to think,
Yeah.
I mentioned this to Sheriff Grismore, I'd like to
Mhm.
think this might be helpful for Franklin County. Obviously, St. Albans Town's the biggest contract outside of the city, and of course, the Sheriff's Department picked up Highgate, which St. Albans City just left on July 1st. I'd like to think they might have enough people, so some of the towns, if they want a contract for some law enforcement, can hook in with them. I guess we'll see, but plenty of towns in Franklin County have no contracts, they get what they can out of state police, but they're,
Yeah.
of course, short-staffed, big time.
Yeah.
Megan, that's an issue you're probably not dealing with too much?
No, luckily I don't
Yeah.
have to deal with any policing
Smile.
issues. I'll listen to it all though.
Yeah. So sidewalks a big issue for you? Tell us about some of the other issues you're dealing with these days.
One of the other studies that we're doing is a village master plan for the St. Albans Bay area.
Actually, I think it was at one of the farmers market, one of the
Yep.
Thursday farmers markets. I saw a booth and stuff. I don't think I had seen that before.
Yeah, so we're just going to look at a lot of different things for the bay to figure out where we want it to go and how to get it there and
Yeah.
make traffic safer and maybe less things for the police to do.
Interesting. So what other, are you looking, I mean, the hope to get more businesses down there, or?
Yeah, we're really taking notes from the public and what they want down there, whether it be more businesses, more recreation. Obviously, the biggest thing that people say is sidewalks. They want to be able to walk through the bay, from the Bay Park to the
Yeah.
Creamy Stand.
Yeah.
More things to do to bring people to the bay, and then how to get them around once they're down there.
Interesting. Yeah, I did actually take note of that. Is that kind of a new thing you're doing? I hadn't heard about that before, I don't think.
Yeah, we got a grant from the state of Vermont
Huh.
to do a master plan since we're a designated village center,
Right.
and then use that master plan as a tool to apply for other grants to get infrastructure projects done, things like that.
Right. And when you were planning the new town hall, town residents made it clear they wanted I believe the new town hall to stay in the St. Albans Bay area. Jonathan, you put that, I think you got some feedback from the public on that, and you were pretty strong about keep it in the Bay Area, as I recall.
I think that was on the town meeting day.
Town
meeting
ballot,
day.
too.
It was on the ballot.
It was on the ballot.
I passed 3-1, I believe.
Pretty
Yeah, it was up.
decisive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Speaking of the Bay Park, and again, down there, it seems like about every other day, and your rec department, you keep that place in very good shape. Boy, big softball, I went by, I guess, Sunday morning, looked like a big softball day down there, all kinds of
Mhm.
activity.
Yeah.
The Stone House, anything new to report on the Stone House? I know you'd love some buckos to come in for that
You
place.
just sure would, yeah. Nope, not yet. Unfortunately, not yet.
Yeah.
So we're working, trying to get somebody
Uh,
to take on that design project. But a lot of the firms are pretty busy, but we think we've.
And ideally, you'd like to
official.
see that, I mean, get some heat in there to make it a year-round facility. Jonathan, ideally, Megan? Or does that sound like a pretty much a stretch at this point, or is that not even the hope?
I think it's a stretch for
Yeah.
them. Just the building was built to be a bathhouse,
Yeah.
you know, but anything's possible, but
Yeah.
you gotta look at affordability and, you know, what you're getting versus how much money you're putting in,
Yeah.
and what you're gonna get out of it, you know.
Yeah.
So, but there's a bunch of different options
Yeah.
to do, you know.
What would you like to see, Sean? Ideally, what would you like to see the Stone House become, or what you could do with it?
Ideally, it's to have a year-round facility. So whatever form or fashion it ends up being, I just blanket would like that. Just to have people go down there, for the pond hockey tournament or something like that. We don't need to get space heater. It's really as much as I'd like to say, all right, specifically this, we don't know what's even allowed yet.
Yeah.
And if I've learned anything since I've been in Vermont, it's that I don't know what's allowed and not allowed. So, I've been working with the state as closely as I can and as we can to get a better grasp of the environmental concerns and the overall funding mechanisms. But
And again, it's an
different.
official historic structure, of course, or, I mean,
It is. It's not on the state register, though.
not on the state
No.
register?
Yeah.
Going back to what, 1930s,
Was it this
Civilian
national?
Conservation
It's not
Corps?
on national.
It's not on the national one yet.
Not on the national,
It
but
is
Yeah.
state,
it is
Yeah.
state?
yes.
And that restricts what you can do, obviously changes to the building, right?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Big
yes.
time.
Yeah.
So of course, you're up from Virginia. Is
Mhm.
Vermont, are you running into, is Vermont much more restrictive or more regulations about things like that than Virginia?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Much more so?
Yep. I'd say a lot more so.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's just a lot more difficult to navigate.
Interesting.
Much more specific with what you can do, at least if you're going to use a grant for it. The roof was the first thing I've encountered that I might have mentioned on here before.
And of course, the old slate roof.
Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is to say, you can't put another roof, you have to keep it slate?
We have to keep it slate,
Wow.
and we also have to keep it the same size slate. So it's
Wow.
thinner at the top and wider at the bottom. Things that I didn't notice personally until this process, but
Interesting.
that's apparently a big character point for the state, so.
I suspect we're not talking too many people doing slate roofs these days, or am I wrong?
You would be
about
correct
that?
in that one too,
Yeah.
yeah. I'd say there's less than a handful maybe, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But theoretically, you could find slate if you're trying to do a newer slate roof. It's out there somewhere.
It is, yeah. We put it out to bid actually in the fall.
Oh, really?
And got a couple bids back, and they were very, very expensive. It's
Right.
actually more than the sidewalk is costing right
Yeah.
now. And we think that was more hopefully a product of timing. It was right at the end of the construction season, so that could have been it. But we're hopeful to. Probably won't be able to put anything out to bid this year, but next year after, if we get a full design and a better grasp what we can do.
So for sidewalks, anything you're doing, just with inflation, just prices obviously don't go down, just, you're seeing just significant increase in prices for just about anything these days, or depending on what it is?
Yep, especially traffic control.
Yeah,
It sounds like I'm joking. I'm not actually joking. That was a significant percentage of the sidewalk project.
oh, is that, I didn't even, boy, I wouldn't have even thought about that,
Yeah,
really.
yeah. So that's nothing to do with materials. That's just the labor, obviously. But yeah, that's up there. Sidewalks are expensive. Even if you do a small stretch, it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. So
Really?
it's pretty.
Did you run into any opposition with the sidewalk work for the residents were most people happy to have a sidewalk in front of their houses, or not everybody, I assume?
I would say mostly everybody,
Most.
but not everybody. Yeah.
And if a homeowner wasn't happy about that, that homeowner could not stop that project? Is a town right away where that's going on, I assume?
It's in the state right of way.
State right
Yeah.
away? So there's
Yeah.
no way a homeowner could block that from happening in front of their house?
No, they can't block it, but we worked with a couple people to ensure that it was placed where they
Yeah.
wanted. Even though it's in the state right of way, we, respected their property and made sure that things weren't pushed around or, trees lost, things like that. So
Yeah.
try to work with them as best as possible.
Yeah. Jonathan, tax bills out in the town pretty recently?
Yeah.
Hearing perchance a little reaction to them?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you go on Facebook, it's just the comments are overwhelming.
It's funny, I don't think I'm going to ever do Facebook, but I guess I'm missing out, maybe for the better on some,
Well,
just pretty negative stuff.
You're not really missing out, because a lot of it's just negativity, and it
Yeah.
spreads, and people feed off it on there.
Is there some,
That's wrong.
do some people
Yeah.
throw positive, is there some positive
Oh,
Yes.
stuff?
certainly, yes.
Yes.
But just a lot of negative
Yes.
stuff?
Mike Manahan runs a page, and once in a while, he'll
Wow.
throw like, throw something positive on here,
Yeah.
and everybody will just start throwing positive things about the town and the city and surrounding
And I'm
areas.
sure certainly never see any misinformation or anything on
Oh.
Facebook, right?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
It's
I found
incredible.
out some new information that was apparently true about us and stuff on there.
Oh.
As I said jokingly.
Is there stuff on there that's occasionally useful to you or not? Yeah,
Yeah, occasionally, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure the quarry issue, got probably
Ooh-wee.
a ton of attention on Facebook, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. But anyway, so back to tax bills, anyway, they're out and stuff, but.
They're out, municipal rate increased by about 5 cents, which we bought that down with the sheriff's surplus.
Yeah.
I believe we put 400,000,
400, yeah.
that we had left over from that budget line.
So that wasn't
buy that
a
down.
big increase this year, or
Oh,
Soften the blow.
It softened the blow.
softened the blow?
yes.
Well put, I guess.
Because it would have been 9, almost 10 cents,
Wow.
so add that
And of course,
to-
the police situation figuring into that pretty significantly.
Right, I mean, that budget line increase was, had to be 700,000 increase
More
from
than
the
that.
sheriff.
More than
What,
that. Yeah.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
quite a chunk of change.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's gonna be worth it in the long run.
Yeah,
Like, I think it gives us access to the water and sewer.
right, and the affiliation fee is
That went
gone,
out. Yep.
That's
is
gone.
gone, so as of July 1st, right?
Yep.
Yep, that's gone finally. So
Interesting.
that's another burden off,
Yeah.
the residents, or some of the residents of the town.
And I've asked you before, just again, the historic agreement, I don't think that's overstated at all on the policing and water sewer. But when I've asked you folks about that, I mean, most people seem to be pretty happy with that. You didn't run into too many people who were who thought that was a bad deal, pretty positive on that front.
Yeah,
Was
for the
Was Facebook even?
I didn't touch that one.
No, I think that was too much, well, I'll leave the comment to myself, but that never made it on Facebook that
No,
I
is that
saw.
right?
No, I
Oh,
think
really?
that's a good agreement, like, you know, you gotta get along with your neighbors, and
Yeah.
if there's something they can offer, so you guys have a better working relationship, that'd be one
Yeah.
thing, you know?
Yeah.
Plus the
Sure.
continuity of it.
Yeah.
You know, to minimum, it's basically a minimum of 13 years.
Is that
So-
is that right?
Yeah, it's 10 years in that minimum, and then either side would have to give a 3-year notice, basically, to.
And this is for the police contract?
Mhm.
Okay, I
Police
guess I
and-
forgot it was that long.
Yeah, yeah. So there's no
Interesting.
switch in or, you know, reorganizing every couple of years, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Megan, I guess Chip Sawyer's kind of your counterpart in the city. You deal with Chip sometimes, yeah?
Yeah, we work together a lot on different projects. We're
Yeah.
right now working together on another sidewalk study for Route 7 north of the city.
In fact, that was on, boy, do you think, can you picture pulling that off? I wish you luck with that. I'm sure,
Yeah.
as I drive up there about every day, boy, it's hard to picture.
It's
Is there
intense.
potential for that?
There is potential. There's
Yeah.
an opportunity to move stormwater infrastructure or reconfigure stormwater infrastructure to make space for that sidewalk.
Huh.
It's amazing to me how many young people, children ride their bikes or walk
Right.
along Route 7, and to get them separated from the cars, I think is imperative.
Yeah, yeah, I go by bikers and walkers once in a while, and I'm saying, boy, just not a good place.
Yeah. Yeah, we walked most of the route with the engineers.
Is that right?
So it's, and as everybody's proven that the route is possible, it's just not safe right now. So,
Wow.
but it's gonna be a big haul.
So so where are you with that project now? Just looking at possible options with that, or?
Yep, we just had our first public local concerns meeting.
Right.
Next will be the engineers doing their job to find the best place to put that sidewalk. We'll have conversations with them and Chip in the city to make sure it makes sense with the land uses and with the parking and signs and things like that along within the state right-of-way. And then we'll have an additional couple public meetings afterwards to show proposed routes and have, pick alternatives.
Interesting. How many folk did you get? A decent turnout at that meeting?
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
a
some
handful
folks.
of people, business owners, as well as people that walk on along the route. So it was good to hear from both sides. Someone that owns property, and then someone that uses the property.
Yeah, interesting. St. Albans Town Forest, sounds like that's some more trails up there, and I guess Andy Crossman being the key person dealing with some of
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, he's awesome.
And I guess the hope to somehow have a connection between there and Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's actually not as far apart as you might think it is.
Really?
Yeah, because kind of when I first heard about it, just mentally I was like, wow, it's probably a big, maybe I was thinking the health path.
Yeah, that was hard for
Yeah.
me to picture.
Yeah, but no, it's actually not that far at all. Yeah.
Interesting.
Andy's just been incredible in that role.
I'll definitely have to,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll definitely have to try to grab him for
Yeah.
a show here if he'll come on. I suspect he would.
Yeah, it's
Interesting.
and just the cooperation that he's gotten out of local landowners too, because we're pretty much actually at capacity with the land that we own.
Interesting.
So that's that can be a tricky thing to get, budding landowners to work with you on that stuff.
How much use does the town forest get? Is that, you get a fair amount of people getting up there, Jonathan, do you know, or any clue? I love places like that.
I don't
Gotta
get up
make
there
more use. I
often.
don't get up there that often.
Yeah, I don't get up there often.
Anytime I go up there
Yeah.
with my family, there's at least a couple cars.
Yeah.
I think it's used a lot by mountain bikers,
Huh.
not so much us hikers. We have to jump out of the way
Oh,
sometimes.
is that right? So it's a good mountain biking place?
It's great, yeah.
And
People are
probably
always
the
respectful.
only one right around here, maybe, for?
Yeah, Aldous Hill, I think, has mountain bike trails
Okay.
as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow. And the acreage up there is,
Oh boy.
170,
Couple
I
hundred,
believe.
yeah.
yeah, it's a
I think
pretty,
it's 170.
170, it's a pretty good hunk of land.
Yeah, it's a good tract of land for sure.
Yeah, that makes me think of the access going up French Hill Road.
Yeah.
Sounds like that always concerns about French Hill Road. Is some of that road still in pretty tough shape, or what's this?
Yep. And we're actually paving part of it this year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Some of it being paved?
Yep. The northern section, I guess. Yeah. And then a little bit of Paquette. So that's
Huh.
right up around Town Forest actually in the past. And then next year I think we're going to do the rest of, or at least
Yeah.
another chunk of French Hill. Yeah, it's a pretty
More
rough one.
paving projects going on, and we're talking end of July here, yeah?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what else is coming up?
We've got, let's see, southern section of Kellogg, which we got a grant to help with that. Eastview, Westview,
Huh.
the section of French Hill, which I just talked about, and also Sampson Road.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how much, can you give, well, you haven't been here too long, but I mean, paving projects, just the cost increase has been significant. I mean, every year that goes up, I assume? Or-
Yes, I've gotten to know paving prices a lot more since I
Really?
started this job, yeah.
What's paving? Can you give me a rough price tag for paving a mile of road?
Depending on, like, French Hill mile would be different
That'd
than
be-
a Kellogg mile, but give or take $170,000 a mile.
Is that right?
Yeah.
$170,000 a mile?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yes.
And how
Yeah.
much of that's mostly not town money, I trust, or how much of that is town money?
No, it's mostly
Town money?
Yeah,
You're
our
not getting
paving,
much outside money for paving?
a little bit, yeah. I think the last couple of years, we're averaging maybe 75 to 100,000 in grants for it,
Uh,
which helps us stretch because in our town plan, or the improvement plan, we have that we want to pave 5 miles a year.
I was gonna.
170,000 into 500,000 doesn't get you that. So we've been trying to stretch it as any way we can, and Dave's been excellent at that too.
So ideally, you'd like to be paving about 5 miles a year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We've got about 54 miles of paved roads in
No, is that
town.
right? 54 miles,
Yeah.
interesting.
53 and a half technically.
And all paved, there's no dirt road in the town,
Nope.
is there?
Nope.
Yeah,
No.
all paved,
Mhm.
interesting. Megan, what's the toughest part of your job? Is it all tough, or some jobs,
No,
some
it's
parts
really
tougher
fun.
than others, or?
I enjoy my job a lot, but I
Yeah.
think the toughest part is when a resident comes in with misinformation from Facebook or other sources, and then having the discussions and conversations with them to really give them the actual facts. I really appreciate when people do come in, though, and ask
Yeah.
to get those facts, because it's much different than it's portrayed. But sometimes it's a difficult conversation to have.
Interesting. Is it okay for town resident if they have a question for you, just to come in and to your
Please.
office and
Yes.
just, should they call ahead of time ideally, or?
Yeah, just to make sure I'm there. I have meetings
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
throughout the day. Email is a great way as well if they have questions, or to stop in. And
Yeah.
I have a department, an assistant, and the new ZA
Yeah.
there, and they can answer the questions as well.
Jonathan, at a regular select board meeting, depending on the issue, but a lot of times typically few members of the public will show, or?
Yeah, we get the
You have some regulars
HOA
kind of?
and another resident of Tanglewood.
Yeah.
They show up to every meeting, which is great.
Huh.
Other than that, it's a pretty empty room.
Is that
unless you-
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean, were you going to say something? I think I jumped in ahead of you there.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just gonna say, we actually have quite a few people that do stop in.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And same with yourself, if someone has an issue with the town, call you up, you'll talk to these folks?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Open
Jonathan, do
door.
you get some calls at home from town residents who have a issue or not?
Not really,
Not too
no.
many.
Well, so for instance, a lot of the calls that I do get is about like, hey, can I put a XYZ off the bag? It says in the bylaws, and for an average person that's never like opened them up and like
Yeah.
went through them,
Yeah.
like it's tough to say like, well, this is allowed in this zone, this is allowed in that zone, and they change, you know, and no, you know, I don't keep track of the
I
changes all the
suspect you
time.
tell them you're talking to the wrong person.
Well, I do, and I say, well, you know, I'm probably pretty sure it's this, but check with AJ, and if she's not there, you can also check with Megan too. And it's you know, because I had a conversation with AJ, I didn't realize that I'm in a residential zone. I thought I was rural.
Yeah, you're
No,
right.
really?
Yeah, because I thought you,
Huh.
and so that got changed somewhat, you know, within the 20 years I was there, but I
Huh.
wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
It's just kind of confusing how it all lays out. Not to me, but for somebody that never opens the bylaws, like it's a lot of information to
It's a big
digest,
book.
you know.
Have you ever think about, I see some towns, a mayor will have official public calling hours and stuff.
Mhm.
Have you ever, you don't have that, have you ever thought about doing that? Hey, if you want to talk to me, come in, whatever, someday for an hour or something?
I did that in Virginia, actually.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, yeah. I used to do like 2 or 3 hours a week. I believe it was Wednesday afternoons. is
Have you
when-
thought about doing that here?
I have, yeah.
But haven't done it at this
I
point?
have not formally done that, no. I think it's been considered that I just always have open office hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's, and I got, I guess, mixed results with it before, but I think people just kind of like to come in when they're, have something else to talk about or
Yeah.
pay taxes, and then they say, is the town manager here, Sean?
Yeah. So any takers on the former town hall?
I thought you'd never ask, yeah.
Believe me, I was gonna ask.
Yeah. Some
And is that-
interested parties.
And is that period gone? You were putting it out to
The
see if
90
there were any
days.
takers. Is that period ended?
The 90-day window, that was kind of our voluntary minimum window, has passed now. We've got a few interested parties. I know some folks are working through financing, but it's all, and that's one person, whoever it might be. I'll make office hours for whoever wants to buy that building. Yeah.
Can you be more specific about the interest or not?
I can't right now. No.
But
There's
a
been all
number-
kinds of ideas.
A number of more than one person, a number of parties?
Yep. We've gone through.
With different proposals or different thoughts?
Yep, I haven't really seen the same, outside of housing, which has been a pretty consistent one with interested parties. Other mixed use, downstairs, commercial, upstairs housing, that type of thing. Yeah. And office, yeah. Yeah.
Talked housing off the air with you earlier this morning, but boy, tough. When I hear the term affordable housing, it just sounds like such a dubious term to use. But any housing initiatives, Jonathan? We just talked about how tough it must be for younger people. I mean, just to buy a house and stuff. But got a handle on real estate. Is there, if someone wanted to buy a house in the town, or I keep hearing that inventory is just very low. You got any feel for that?
There's 3 houses for sale on the road that I live on.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, it seems like there's
Interesting.
I don't know, it depends on the week. Some days you drive
Yeah.
around, you see signs everywhere. Next week, they're all gone. So I'm guessing
Interesting.
it's still pretty fast-paced.
Megan, have you got any feel for that, just on the housing issue?
Yeah, we see a lot of, because oftentimes when you purchase a home, you have to get a letter from the zoning that says it's in compliance. So we see a lot of those a week. They come and go. Things are selling fast. There's just not a lot there. But once you put it up for sale, it's most of the time going to go pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think the other thing we're seeing is a lot of new homes being built for people coming in from out of the area.
Yeah.
So we're seeing, the same numbers that we were seeing in 2020. Other areas have slowed down where we have the land, we have the space. So there's quite a few new homes going up in the town.
Yeah. I forgot. I guess I ran out of time. I just interviewed St. Albans Mayor Tim Smith, day job, of course, Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation. Didn't quite get to Beta Technologies, but are they off? We got some stuff going on at the old Fonda, not the old Fonda site, the old Energizer site?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been up in there for a while now, right?
Is that
Yeah, a
right?
couple years.
Yeah.
They're working on expansion
Yeah.
within the building, hopefully bringing more employees and work up to this building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And down the road, we're talking, some significant number of employees down the road. That's the plan?
Yeah.
That's what they portray.
That's what they say. Well, it's certainly the biggest kind of economic news in St. Albans Town anytime recently, I would think, Jonathan. Huh?
I would have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other news like that in the town? Any new news out of the St. Albans Town Industrial Park these days? Or it sounds like the labor shortage. I see Ben and Jerry's. It seems like I hear radio ads every day looking for people, but it sounds like they have plenty of company.
Yeah. And we were, I guess, working, as I said, partnering with FCIDC potentially for some grants to get the extended road there. The site's a little bit more ready. So it's because in the economic development field, shovel ready is what everybody aims for. So there's a lot of things that go into that. So we are talking to them and going to help them try to get some grants.
And there's still there's still room in the town industrial park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's there's some stuff there. Hopefully, yeah. So.
St. Albans Town Fire Department. So new headquarters is definitely in the offing at some point, or is that the plan or hope?
Yeah, it's gonna happen,
Yeah,
yeah.
and maybe on the same side, right behind it, is that the,
That's what I believe Sean, they
Yeah.
created a little committee, or Sean did.
Yeah.
And they kind of picked a spot, and now we're gonna see if it's feasible for the area, and
Yeah.
so we have our work, or Sean has his work cut out in front of it.
Yeah.
have you got enough room in back, or is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, we've already talked to the cemetery who owns it to make sure that they're on board with it, and they are. So the next step right now is to get out an RFP for architect for that
Yeah,
also. So that's a pretty niche field of architecture.
is that
Design.
right?
Yeah, so get that out and basically going to listen to them if they say we can do it. Because obviously it'll have to be bigger. So how do we balance building the new site without, compromising the existing
Right.
one? Because they need to operate out of somewhere. So yeah, we're going through it. But that's the next building. Yeah.
And if you did put up a new building in back, you would eventually just knock down the current building when the new building was up, or would you keep that too, or?
Maybe I
Might
like
keep it.
buildings, but it's if there's a clear use for it and it fits the layout of the property, then like we could keep it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I look forward to that decision because that means that we're far down the line. And
So no rough time frame on that, or?
I would love to have an architect on board by in the fall.
Oh, really?
Hmm. Yeah.
Rough price tag on a new building?
I don't want to be right, so I don't want to throw a dart out. But yeah, it's going to be. I would bet. Let's see. The town of Jericho. This is gonna tie in. The town of Jericho is building a smaller DPW garage.
Huh.
We just toured ours a couple weeks ago with them, and their new garage, which is smaller, is going to be more expensive than our bigger garage that we built. I guess opened 4 or 5 years ago.
Huh.
So that was $4.5. I would guess in the $6 to $8 to $9 million range.
Really?
Yeah, I'd love to be wrong about that. I'd love to be too high or over, but I think if I had to throw a dart at the board and just knowing the prices right now,
Wow.
that's probably it. Yeah.
And can I assume the plan to pay for that would be LOT money, local option tax money, as you did with the town hall and public works
Definitely,
garage?
Yeah.
we still have unallocated funds that come out of that
Yeah.
LOT money, so, yeah, we
Yeah.
do that, and probably if we could find some grants somewhere,
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
would too.
I'm pretty confident about grants.
What do you get for LOT money a year?
It's over $1 million now.
Is that right? Over $1 million?
Yeah, I think
Wow.
it'd be 1.1.
I'm thinking the good folks in Swanton are pondering an LOT these days.
Yeah.
They've got a few
They
issues up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sure, of course, city did that after the town did, but.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember there was a little opposition to that, but boy, it sounds like it's easy for you folks to say that was a real good way to go, I guess, huh?
Yeah,
That's
I still hear about it occasionally.
Is that right?
No,
People
100%,
still
yeah,
grumbling
yeah, but
about
I'm
it?
like, okay, so if we didn't have that and you put,
Yeah.
onto your tax bill, it's gonna be a lot more.
Yeah.
At least you get out-of-staters that come, or anybody that's out of the community that buys anything,
Yeah.
like, at least that goes
Mhm.
towards
Yeah.
it. So you're getting money from a different pool of people.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I think every town should do it.
And
Yeah.
the state would love that, because the state picks up, what, 30% of that?
Yeah.
Maybe more than
Maybe
30
at least a
something.
third, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'm sure the state would be probably happy if everybody did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah.
How do you fare with you're dealing with state folks pretty regularly, I assume. Are they okay to deal with? Just the state bureaucracy, how does that compare to Virginia? Was Virginia kind of easier on that front than Vermont?
This is a dangerous game I'm going down here now, Richard. The people I work with I've had no issues with them.
Yeah.
It's more like the rules and the regulations part. So,
Yeah.
they're just doing their job. But anybody I've worked with, I've had zero issue. They try to help. They try to,
Yeah.
figure it out. But it's just some of the regulations is where it's.
Yeah, I've been up here
It's
for
tricky.
many decades. I mean, I've heard that from day one, I think. It just sounds like Vermont, just about everybody I talk to, just not the easiest place to do business with. But anyway, I guess it is what it is, and you get
Mhm.
used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the town fire department. Of course, Bob Cross stepped down as a fire chief
Mhm.
a while back, and he is stepping down also as the town's, public safety director? Has
He-
that already happened?
That already happened. He
Sorry.
retired as a public safety officer on June 30th.
Probably mentioned, okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
just the last month or so.
Yeah, he's
So we
formally
got a
retired.
replacement for Bob Cross in that role? Are you going to look for a replacement, or?
Yeah, not a direct replacement, but there will be a full-time firefighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got that job description out now, and hopefully we'll be interviewing in a couple of weeks.
So it'll be it won't be the same job, or?
No, it won't be, no.
Interesting.
Because something that the state did effective January 1st is they kind of have regional fire marshals and public safety officers.
Yeah.
So that kind of takes it away, the burden away from localities needing them. But it'll be a combination of, actually Jonathan's technically our public safety officer for the next 2 days.
Yeah, oh, is that right? You're the guy here.
The chairman gets it.
Please don't call me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can call
But
me if you'd like.
Yeah. So Matt Mulhern will be the kind of active interim town health officer.
And of course, Matt's the fire chief for both the city and town
Correct.
departments.
Mhm.
Can you picture any talk of a merger, which wouldn't sound like the craziest thing to me at this point? Any merger talk of the fire departments, Jonathan? Does that come up at all?
I think we talked about that a little bit, and at this point,
Yeah.
it's not on the table.
No. Yeah.
Even with the same chief for both departments?
Yeah.
Yeah. We actually met with the city and formally
Yeah.
just talked about it. And,
How's staffing? How's the town fire department doing in the city for that? Of course, town volunteer, basically.
Yeah.
Staffing going okay with that?
I believe the number's gone up over the
Yeah.
last year or so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they've been doing more outreach at the high school and stuff. So he's
Yeah.
got some younger guys, and yeah, it's pretty good.
And City FD has what, their call force? Is that what the city has, or is that?
I don't know that one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's right. But it sounds like the department, I guess, you would think they'd work together with the same chief, but it sounds like there's been always pretty good cooperation between
Yeah,
departments.
the mutual aid, they usually,
Yeah.
I think we respond,
Yeah.
if there's a big
Sure.
event, they
Yeah.
always respond.
Sounds like
to
that
each other.
works pretty well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Any new initiatives for you, Megan, coming up, say in the next year, projects you're not working on now, but you know we're coming up down the road?
Well, we do have one large project, which is a transit-oriented development study.
Huh.
And that's looking at our growth centers, which is essentially exit 19 and exit 20, Route 7
Right.
in that area, and 104 down in 19. Looking at how development of mixed-use types can support public transit. And then the second half of that would be how to get public transit up here to Franklin County from Chittenden County. And that's through a grant that Chittenden County Regional Planning received. And we were able to get on that study. So that'll be really exciting to look at those two areas to see what our potentials are for mixed-use housing and commercial development, and where we can go and how we can protect our lands to ensure that we don't get kind of that sprawl development that's sort of happening now.
Interesting. And of course, VTran, Vermont Agency of Transportation, is taking a look at the exit 19 situation
Yep.
now, correct, right?
Yeah, it's already pretty much decided. Well, they're doing a right turn. They're doing the right turn only lane right now. I think it's
Okay.
already done. I haven't gotten off exit 19 in a while.
I think I've wondered about that for
Yeah.
years, that why wasn't there a right turn coming
Yeah.
off the interstate?
Yeah, so I believe that's already in.
I think it's
Is
done.
that-
Yeah.
Okay.
If not, it's pretty
Yeah.
close to being done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
they
some talk about maybe a roundabout down the road,
Yep.
rotary roundabout.
Yep, they, I believe that was the conclusion of the consulting groups, and then they came to our last meeting and sought the endorsement of the select board, and so it's the hybrid roundabout is what is the official term for it, so.
Yeah, boy, that gets packed up. I'm not out there, I'm not commuting to Burlington, fortunately, but I guess mornings can be pretty, once in a while I get stuck in that, and probably in the same thing later in the day, I guess.
You get somebody looking at their phone and that left arrow comes on, and it's a rough day.
Yeah, 3
Yeah.
cars are getting through.
Is
Yeah.
VTrans, are they looking at exit 20 also, or just exit 19?
Just exit 19.
Exit 19.
Yeah. Kind of said this a few times, but I'll say it many more. For the public, it's important to know that it's not going to be a silver bullet. Everybody's got their own opinions of what the best alternative might be,
Yeah.
but no matter what, you're not going to be driving through there, without brakes, and it's going to be more consistent. But it's just I can't reiterate that enough that it's not gonna be perfect. So it's thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Probably when I heard going back a number of years that there'd be a four-way intersection at Lake Street and Catherine and Federal in the city, I said a four-way, stop sign situation. I couldn't picture it. I've just been stunned from day one that to me works out very well.
Yeah.
Because I hated that intersection before. I hated to even deal with that intersection, but I've just been stunned. I just think that's worked pretty well, and it just kind of blows my mind. I never would have guessed that would have worked so well.
Yeah.
So good luck to the future of Exit 19.
Yeah.
And of course, the original plan, when the motel went in, there'll be a restaurant right next to it. No restaurant talk up there. Is that no rumblings of a restaurant? Huh?
Yeah, that's
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's
And
like
it's
Swanton. I'm happy to report Swanton Village, I guess, is getting a new
Green
restaurant.
Mountain.
I wish them well.
Green Mountain Bistro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm interested in going up checking.
Yeah,
that place
I
out.
wish them well. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
they've been after another restaurant for forever, I think.
Yeah. And I guess it's hard to get to recruit, I guess, to a company to Vermont, which is, I guess, a big difference.
Yeah, think of all the franchises. My kid asked me about franchises sometime. Dad,
Yeah.
why aren't they in Vermont? They don't
Yeah.
even.
They usually know where they're going. That's what
Yeah.
I've never been involved with a recruitment effort of a chain.
Yeah.
We've always been contacted by, insert name here.
Yeah.
And if you were to recruit, you could recruit, but the locality or the developer or the owner would, discount it over a period of time type of thing if they X amount of jobs. So it's a little bit, I hear that often anywhere I've been. It's like, oh, why don't we get one of these, And
Yeah.
I usually just tell them, like, they know where they're going. It's hard to get them unless
Yeah.
you're going to give it away
Yeah.
to get them in, which is possible, but it's a different climate up here for that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not a huge beer guy, but I'll drink beer once in a while. But at the Beverage Mart, my old friend Ross Arsenault, going back a few years, said, Ross, why don't you get, and of course I'm spacing out on the beer, it's the oldest, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, the oldest
Yingling?
brewery. What is it?
Is that Yingling?
Thank
Yeah,
you. Boy,
yeah.
Thanks, mine. Yingling.
Yeah.
Ross, why don't you, Richard, they don't even bother with Vermont. Go over to Rouse's Point. It's not far away. Go get it in Rouse's Point.
Yeah.
But thank you, Yingling.
Yeah. Big Yingling
Anyway,
fan.
but don't even bother with Vermont. Not the biggest
kidding.
market
I
in
didn't
the
know
place.
that.
Have you seen it in Vermont?
No, I don't know that I have.
Yeah, I don't think you have.
Shoot.
But anyway,
now I miss it. Now I
Rouse's
miss-
Point, if you're after it, not too far away.
Yeah. Interesting.
Stormwater, God, we could probably take the rest of the show on stormwater.
Yeah.
Megan, do you deal with stormwater at all, or is that nothing you have to deal with, or?
I help out with some mapping for stormwater.
Some mapping.
Yep, and answer some people's questions sometimes when they stop in if no one else is available.
Yeah.
But I assist the stormwater department as much as I possibly can
Yeah.
because they have a big task to defeat.
And you have a key stormwater person?
Yeah, Julie.
Yeah, okay.
Julie, and then obviously Dave.
So do you know all the projects? Are there maybe, aren't you in the teens, the number of projects? Or
yeah.
low?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I would say low, but for MS4 projects,
Wow,
the big ones are they're in the teens, about 14.
is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
maybe that list may be added to, or do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, there's more projects we could do. MS4 is obviously the requirements,
Wow.
so we need to do those by 2036.
by 2036.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sure the state's happy to throw a lot of money at you for this stuff. I'm kidding.
Okay. I mean, they've been good to us.
Some money, hopefully.
They've been good to us since I've been here.
Yeah.
So we've got, not saying it was because of me, just timing. Let's see, Tanglewood and Clyde Allen projects, we got grants to do the lion's share
Yeah.
of those, yeah. And Tanglewood should be out to bid. We're waiting on one last easement and it is ready to go.
Oh,
As soon
really?
as we get the easement, that day we can put it out to bid.
And what does that,
Yeah.
what does that project entail?
It's the notorious Tanglewood project, I would say.
And
It's
again,
been
not
on
a
for
concern
decades.
about with rain, just some flooding. I mean, roads get covered and more than even basements and stuff. Has that been
Yeah,
an issue there?
Yep, and some folks, and I don't really blame them, they could probably understand it, wet basements, and they've kind of dug their own ditching, which kind of messes with the overall flow, the
Yeah.
intended flow. But truth be told, this is if it was 40 years ago, whenever they started building there, if it was today, Vermont wouldn't allow it to be built there.
Is that right? They wouldn't really, just
Yeah.
too wet?
Yeah, the wetlands would have been,
Wow.
yeah. It's essentially built in a swamp, from what I
Wow.
understand.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's a big stormwater retention pond that hasn't been maintained. So it's just basically going to give that a huge refresh and hopefully get the water out of everybody's.
Is that Grice Brook related? Is that Grice around there, or?
So I call the Sash kind of a ground zero for stormwater. So Bryce Brook's on obviously the other side, Tanglewood's on this one, and the school. That's kind of just, it must be the low point or something in that area because there's both sides of the Sash have issues there. Yeah. And the culverts come out and push a bunch of water into Tanglewood, and the culverts are too small. And, yeah.
Is that right? So today, no way they'd be building housing in there?
No, if it was, I don't think they'd allow them to do it. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sure you talked to your legislators about that, obviously always hoping to get more funding. How do you think you fare with Reps Lynn Dickinson and Casey Toof? Jonathan, are they pretty responsive, or you have conversations with these folks when you need to? I don't know if you do
Yeah,
personally.
we've had a couple
I have a lot of them,
conversations.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
Sean
you
reaches
do.
out to them more
Yeah.
than I
Yeah.
would.
I'm pretty
Yeah,
in regular contact with both of those two.
yeah.
And Senator Welch's office too, and Sanders and Brock on a number of occasions also.
Yeah, and Rep Ballant, you deal with all those folks at times?
Yep. One of her reps came to the office a month or two ago just to kind of get acclimated and acquainted. And,
So once in a while, they'll come to you, and not just you going to them, once in a while, they'll check in?
Yep. Yeah.
Do you deal with them at all, Megan, with your stuff, or not kind of personally?
No, not personally. I like to kind of sit in on the meetings and learn
Yeah.
kind of like how Vermont works. So
Yeah.
I like to be involved, but luckily my projects are really local and deal with the local people and the local elected officials.
So again, a couple of years as the CD director in the town. Has your job changed? Has the work changed much in 2 years? Is it
Oh.
always changing?
It's always changing. You finish one study, you start another. And it's that's what I think is exciting about planning. I like to see the projects go all the way though, which I'm excited that the Route 7 South Sidewalk is in construction,
Right.
being partial project manager of that project, to see it go from the study to a completed
Right.
in the
Actual
ground.
work.
Yeah, is really cool to see. I like that.
Interesting.
And then bring on the next study.
Yeah. The old public works site, and again,
Yeah.
not close to the town hall, which is useful for well-attended meetings, but
Yeah.
any hard plans for the old public works site?
No, just that it's hard. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's going to be a tough one.
Is there a lot of remedial work that would be needed if you were going to do something new there, or?
The site's cleaner than I would have
Yes, you said
guessed.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before coming here. And right now, the consultants are, I believe, are getting the cost estimates
Yeah.
for each alternative. So,
It's
Yeah.
going to be 3 hours.
so it'll be a lot, kind of easier to make a decision when all right, you might like that issue, that alternative, but it's X amount of dollars. It'll help the
Are we
discussion.
talking a range of alternatives here?
There's 3 of them. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
can you, what are they?
See the full boat launch.
Yeah, we have a boat launch. The other option is to remove both buildings and do a large playground facility with all sizes, so 2 to 5 playground and a 5 to 12 playground. And then the third option would be to keep the salt barn and use it as a community building of some sort. All 3 options do have a boardwalk, or like a boardwalk-ish along the lake with
Small
small
boat
boat
launch.
access.
Yeah.
And then one option with a large boat
Yeah.
launch.
And of course, boy, you could certainly use that, as everybody, whoever drives out towards Kilcare knows, on a
Yeah.
busy summer day, just with the trailers and stuff,
Yeah.
the overflow of the access parking lot, of course.
Yeah.
Not a great situation.
Yeah, and we've talked to the state about it too, and they're a little bit concerned with the depth of the water right there for a boat launch.
Yeah,
And
as in back in the old public works.
yeah,
side.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And right next to the marina, so there's a whole lot of that's a big project.
But the marina's fared okay. I mean, the depth, I guess, works out okay. And there are not many sailboats in there, of course, but
Right. Yeah, I guess so.
They look like they're pretty busy. It looks like they're having a pretty good summer.
Mhm.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got four sailboats in there now. I think.
What's that?
He's got four
I've
sailboats
seen, I've seen,
in
there
there
are,
now.
there are a few in there.
But sailing on this side of the lake is,
Yeah.
you know, because it's so short.
Yeah,
You know, once you get on the
Yeah.
other side of the drawbridge, then
Yeah.
you can go
Mm.
80 mile or whatever it is. You
Yeah.
go the full length. I think that's why,
yeah.
you know, you'll see a lot of sailboats on this side.
Jonathan, if people ask you, St. Albans Bay, of course, going back years, not that the water quality has dramatically improved, I guess, but for years was literally the poster child for water quality problems in Vermont. Then I think Missisquoi Bay kind of got that mantle, and maybe Lake Carmi now, and of course, the aeration system at Lake Carmi, that's gone. But I guess they're gonna do alum, they're gonna throw some alum in there.
Into
late-
Carmi?
Late next year is, I guess, the latest plan.
Into Carmi?
Into Carmi.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe-
Of course, that
yeah.
brings me back to earlier St. Albans Bay days with copper sulfate, I guess. In my earlier years up here, they would,
Oh, no kidding.
I think it was copper sulfate,
Hmm.
which, you know, very mixed feelings, I mean,
Yeah,
you know.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, many questions about St. Albans Bay? Did many people ask you about just water quality issues, or is that not a big issue kind of these days?
No, I don't, the water quality is an issue,
Yeah,
don't get
for
me
sure.
wrong, but I think with the, all the projects that the agriculture sector is
Yeah.
doing, like, I think that helps, it all helps,
Yeah,
you know?
Last year was a lot worse than this year. We had to like,
so this, yeah, I guess I've noticed,
Yeah.
in fact, as a beach, I don't think I've noticed any beach
I
closing signs,
don't
have I, at the
believe we
Bay
have.
Park?
We
I don't think we have this
well,
year.
the lake's so
Maybe
high,
right
we don't
after
have
the
it.
last flooding. I know, I swim at Kilcare typically,
Yeah.
and right after the flooding of a couple weeks ago, that they closed Kilcare for, I think, a day or two. But a better summer than last summer, huh?
Yeah, I think it was closed a good chunk
Yeah, I
of the year
remember being
last year.
closed quite a bit last
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah, fortunately.
Um,
Baby steps.
Down to about 2 minutes. Anything you want to throw out that we haven't talked about?
The election's coming up soon.
Good point, August 13th,
Yeah,
boy, what is it, the
so-
quietest election, I'm just blown away, it's just such a, in Vermont, of course, a little, in slight contrast to what's going on nationally, but locally and state, pretty quiet, but yeah,
Pretty
August
quiet,
13th
so
primary,
Get out and vote.
and
call
7 to
it
7
early.
voting,
Yep. 7
still
to
at
7.
at Collins Burley.
Mhm.
Are you gonna bring that back to the Bay sometime, do you think, or?
I don't know, I think it's tight
know.
down there, because you get, you know, waves of traffic. You
Yeah.
could have 30, 40 cars in the parking lot, and
Yeah.
I just think that might be, maybe down the road it'll work
But
out.
Collins Burley's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's just, I think that's like, it's
Right off the
more,
exit.
it's off the exit, so people getting out of work, but it's more
Yeah.
closer to the massive population that, that
Yeah.
vote.
But no, good point. August 13th is the primary for town residents. Anybody, I guess, can vote early. You
Yeah.
can go down to your town clerk's office and vote early. Megan, any 15 seconds, or anything you want to throw out at us here?
No, just excited about the sidewalk projects we got going on
Yeah.
and working in conjunction with the city on a few things we're excited to see.
So it sounds like you keep busy, not hard to keep busy, huh?
Yeah, not hard.
Anyway, Sean, you want to wrap things up? I'll give you 30 seconds.
Oh, I don't have 30 seconds. No, it's just we've got a lot going on right now, and it's exciting. It's to have the public, even though on Facebook they get a little, antsy or whatever. Everything we're doing every day, it might seem boring on the outside, but to really, we're in like the weeds every day, and every single thing we've got a good staff, we've got good crew, got a good board, and I'm just happy with where we're at. So.
I'll just mention one more thing. Unfortunately, it might be the last one for quite a while. Franklin County Field Day is coming up August 1 to August 4, and I fear this may be the last extension they get out of their current site. But anyway, thanks to Jonathan Giroux, the St. Albans Town Select Board Chairman, Megan Sherlin, the St. Albans Town's Director of Community Development, and Town Manager Sean Atkins. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks to producer Paul Snyder, and maybe Josh is back there too. I'm Richard Cowperthwait. Thanks for giving us attention on Northwest Access TV. See you next time.